This is going to be fun to watch, and thankfully it's inside a very safe environment.
Opensauce. Blew my mind. Right out of my butt. There was honestly more stuff to see there than I even had time for. There was really cool robots, and more importantly, really cool people. And we of course got to meet those people with the stuff that we were showcasing there. We being my friend Joey, who works with me on a bunch of different projects all the time. The elusive Austin, the bearded wonder. And my right-hand YouTube partner James, who works on the hardware and software end of projects with me, especially when I need some boss VFX. So, what did we show at this thing? Well, our Thor Hammer, which of course shoots plasma out of it as music. So essentially we can wirelessly connect up a musical instrument to it, play some notes through it, and those notes will come out as sound produced by plasma on the ends of these things with some Tesla coils that are built into it. Basically, I had the power of Arc Attack in the palm of my hand. And this thing, of course, also has all the sound effects and everything to it too. So you can hear we got all the little electricity sounds while it's idling. Little swingy, swingy action. Little electrocuting sounds. You can also wirelessly charge your phone by just setting it on top of there. And it can make you a really shitty salad. And that Thor Hammer allowed me to connect with someone else who was really cool while we were there. I know I'm totally gonna butcher your name here, Amitabh. So he got to talking to me because he also does Thor Hammer stuff. And if you check out his Instagram, you can see that he actually makes these really cool Thor Hammer systems that use a vacuum pump, which is something I've wanted to do myself, which is why it was so cool to see somebody pull it off. I actually got these vacuum pumps in order to be able to do that. These are the same ones, if you kind of look at the specs on them, they're actually the same ones that Jake Laser used in order to be able to climb that building with his vacuum system Spider-Man crawler things. And of course I did get to meet Jake as well while I was there. I took a picture of him with my ecto goggles. These guys are kind of like the ones in the movie. You take a picture with it, prints out the side and everything on it. So I was doing that with a bunch of different creators while I was there. And just everybody that wanted a picture at our booth was able to get one with those too. So we had those showcased there. So back to Amitabh. He did this really cool thing that I had seen on Adam Savage's Tested, kind of. So Adam had teamed up with this other guy who was an expert in doing like micro refrigerant systems, and he had it set up so that he could have this suit that was cooled by this refrigerant system to keep his body temperature cooler. And Amitabh had something similar. You can actually see here, he has this whole refrigerator backpack system, and he's using it to serve Fireball liquor and actually chill it as it's being served. And he's actually exploring this so that NASCAR drivers could actually have a way of cooling their bodies better inside the cars, which is really awesome. And of course, what I've wanted to use it for is cosplay, because even if I dress up as like a Ghostbuster, that costume gets like hellaciously hot walking around a con for a while. And even more so if you were to do like an Ironman armor or something like a Mandalorian armor, those will all overheat you. So if you could have a micro cooling system, cosplay would be a lot more fun to do. And there's all kinds of practical applications, obviously, for it with the NASCAR driver stuff that he's doing, but also like firefighters or something. It'd be really cool to explore all of this kind of stuff. So that's like the future of that one, and I'm hoping to do a collaboration with him in the future regarding that stuff. He's working on these compact fogger systems, and that's something I've been exploring for the last while as well. He took us to go and see this makerspace called Studio 45 in San Francisco. This is the makerspace here that I run in Montana. It's always cool to see somebody else's like makerspace. That was a really awesome trip. And there was this young lady there that had this cool remote control shopping cart, which was really neat. And it was funny because she was using literally the same remote control system for it that we have right here over on the wall. So you can see how much makerspaces kind of do the same kind of stuff, like regardless of where you go. And they had really awesome 3D printers and all kinds of stuff there, and I'm hoping to do some collaborations with them in the future, potentially teaching classes across the internet. We of course showed our hammer, we showed our Tony Stark chest piece that's movie accurate with all the light up stuff and everything. Boom, we had this guy there, and it was kind of nice because I got Hacksmith and I got Emily the engineer to both sign this and had some fun little conversations with them. And Hacksmith was really nice. He got his phone out and subscribed to my channel right on the spot in front of me. And he made it a point to show me that he did it, which is very nice of him. James is a very solid guy. So is everybody else that we met there as well. We met snake lover Alan Pan. Actually had a gift for him. Of course, because he did that whole video where he had the snakes and gave them their legs back so that they could one could crawl into like the robot and walk around and stuff. And they of course had that on display there. He told me that he actually printed the layers on that thing like 0.9 millimeters, and you could see it. They were like really thick Chungus layers on the robot. And we got to show him all our stuff and everything. But what we did for him was we did one of those print and place snakes, and we actually put his face on it and gave it to him. And I think it seemed like he got a kick out of it, which was great. And he wasn't the only one that we gave a gift to. James and I also made these ding-dings for Michael Reeves that had his face on it. We actually did 2 different variants of them. He signed one, and he seemed to think it was pretty funny too. So that was great. I was actually standing next to Michael Reeves in line, like going to a place I didn't even realize it was him, like what? And that was the case like all over the place. It took me 30 seconds to realize that I was talking with Zach Friedman when I was standing in line with him. I was having a little conversation with Electro Boom and this other guy that was in copper chainmail, and was just cracking some jokes or whatever about like trying to stay warm because it's a little bit cold out there. So it's like, hey, why don't we just hook up a car battery to your chainmail? That'll get you nice and warm. And I didn't even realize until much later that that was Cody from Cody's Lab that I was talking to, who I've been watching for years. And that's the way it was the entire time. Everywhere you looked, like there was somebody else. There's Nerdforge walking over there. There's Code Miko coming up and checking out one of our displays. Yeah. So other stuff that we had there too, we had our Flyabetes cloud, or our fluffy drone cloud that we had. There's 2 variants of it. There's one where we fly it with cotton candy on it, and one where we just fly it as just like a regular little poofy fluff. As far as I know, it's the smallest cloud drone that I've seen anybody build. We had our world's first 100% 3D printed ukulele there. And the thing that kept blowing everybody's mind was that we printed the strings for it too, which are just printed in nylon. We had the world's first 100% 3D printed guitar there, but it still wasn't done, so we just kind of had this kind of half put together thing there to show people the progress on it at least. What else? We had a bunch of like print and place dragons there too that we sold to people. We sold like $2,000 in 3D printed dragons there. We could have probably sold more if we'd printed more, which is insane. So it kind of helped pay for the trip. The most popular thing that we had there, though, was our touch grass display, because of course the theme of this whole like Opensauce thing was for people to get out and for the nerds to go and touch grass. So we had a little display for that, and everybody used that as kind of a photo op there. So it's a really great way to draw people in, and if we're invited back next year, we would love to like enhance that display for next year and have it there again. Oh, we also designed an Among Us for William Osman, but we didn't have enough time to print it. So we're hoping that maybe we can send it to him. I don't know if this is still his address. He hasn't updated his website for a really long time, and I know that he moved. So hopefully he's got a forwarding address for it. We'll try sending it there and hopefully he gets it. It's not the end of the world if he doesn't. It's an Among Us figure with butt cheeks with his face on it. It's kind of funny. And just a way to say thanks for like everything that he did with this whole thing for us. A couple other cool people that we met on this whole thing, Amadeo and Sky. So they stopped by our booth and checked out our stuff, told us about this cool thing that they had on display there. And it's this Nerf firing range, basically. So the way that they described it is essentially it's like whack-a-mole, but with Nerf guns. And so you got these targets, they light up at certain times, you shoot them within like the time frame of certain lights being certain colors, and boom, you get points and stuff with it. I was pretty proud of myself. I was in 3rd place on like their scoreboard or whatever. I got knocked down to 4th at the end of the whole thing, so I was a bit bummed about that. But what they had there was really cool, because if you think about it, just stop and think about this. If you own a Nerf gun, you want this firing range kind of thing, right? Where you can just set up targets easily anywhere that you want and shoot them, and the targets are highly accurate and they keep the score of how fast you like shoot it and stuff. I mean, what kid, what adult, what person in general that has a Nerf gun wouldn't want that? So they have like a really cool product on their hands, and if they just had these as like simple little kits that you could just buy at Opensauce or just order online or at some other maker convention or whatever, those things would sell out like mad. And if they put the instructions and make it all like open and stuff on Instructables and Hackster.io and Hackaday and all the usual sites and stuff, oh man, like that'd blow up. Like everybody'd be watching that and checking it out and wanting to duplicate it, right? So I told them as much. I think they were kind of already aware of that themselves, but pretty cool stuff. It was really fun to like it's just a fun thing to just go and do while you're there. And I think they slapped it together in like a month, which is pretty impressive. And it's all just based off of one of these ESP8266 boards, which I play with all the time for all kinds of droids and different things that I make. Robot controls, all sorts of different things. And these are cheap. They're like $5, maybe like $4 when you buy them in bulk. And of course, with this whole system, if it's running off of like one of these little boards, these have Wi-Fi on them. You can get them with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on them as well. So you could definitely take it and put like an app together that would run with it, so you could just reset the board and keep track of scores all on there if you wanted to go further with it. But just as it is right now, it would be a totally viable product that's totally awesome. So it sounds like they're going to put out some kind of tutorial or something like that on how the build goes and how to maybe make your own and all that kind of stuff, which is really cool. But yeah, kudos to them for that one. It's just a really fun thing to do while you're there. So then we also got to see all these different YouTubers' inventions that were on display there too. Of course, there was Alan Pan's like walking snake that was there, but there was also stuff from like the Backyard Scientist, who I also met, another nice guy. I got a picture with him as well. The really cool project that I've always kind of like thought was really awesome is his giant ass telescope laser, fiber laser feeding into a telescope. And he mounted to a car so you could melt all kinds of shit with it. That was really cool to actually get to see that thing in person. I think Michael Reeves' glue gun was there. That was interesting, and he's of course had like a back and forth with another YouTuber where like glue guns kept getting more and more ridiculously dangerous and powerful throughout that whole process. The one YouTuber I was bummed I didn't actually get to see there, but I saw his work there, is Thought Emporium, who you might be able to argue, like, for general overall intelligence, might be one of the smartest people on the planet, honestly. I feel like he is well known, but still not as well known as he should be. He's a true mad scientist. He did genetic engineering on himself, if you don't know about this. He gave himself lactose tolerance by editing his own internal lining intestinal cells using CRISPR. CRISPR's a really cool genetic technique. If you don't know too much about it, read up on it. It's freaking fascinating. Kurskistat has a really good video on it. It's very well done. Adam Savage, of course, spoke there, and I saw him like multiple times while I was there. I never actually really sat down and talked with him or anything. Everybody was kind of like wanting to get pictures and stuff with him, and I just didn't want to mob the guy and just give him some space. And if I'm being honest, I think in the future, I'll be able to collaborate with him on something. Everybody that does Ghostbusters cosplay stuff is going to want to replicate something that I'm working on, and they're going to ask themselves, how can I do that? And I'm sure he'll be one of those people that will jump on that. And I'm also kind of famous at this point. I was in the background of Electro Boom's latest video for about a whole 3 seconds. I mean, like, this YouTube fame is just happening for me so fast. It's just hard for me to take it all in, you know? I just don't want it to go to my head. I just kind of would be a regular guy, you know? Seriously, with Adam, like, I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but he did give me the nod of approval and the nice when he saw me with the photographing ecto goggles when I was walking around in my full Ghostbusters getup. So that was flattering. It's nice to get the approval from a guy that's such a big fan himself. I got to meet Plasma Channel, which was really cool. I got to check out his pancake coil that he made that was huge. And of course, we used pancake coils inside of our Thor Hammer, so to see his humongous one that he put together for himself, that was really cool. And he was a super nice guy. super cool to talk to and get to show him the stuff that we were working on. I hope in the future maybe to reach out to him for like a collaboration. We're gonna be doing some definite plasma work ourselves, especially if this channel ends up getting a bit more funding. There's some really huge ass Tesla coils that I would love to build. So one of the other cool projects that I saw there was a drone that had 4 3D printed motors and a 3D printed body on the whole thing. I'd been following this project on YouTube before, so to get to see it in person was really cool. I've wanted to replicate those motors myself. I actually have the proto pasta iron filament that you use for the stator in those motors right here. It's been waiting for quite some time for me to get to that project. We'll see when that happens. It's a really cool motor. It's actually more efficient than most electrical motors because it uses a hallback array of magnets on the inside, which is a different arrangement that gives you better efficiency in the whole thing. Just one of those single motors was actually sent to the crew over at Flight Test, and they actually gave that whole thing a try on a big drone that they built and flew it around. There's a cool video of that. The people that worked on this drone, they told me that they didn't go through the balancing process with all the magnets like you're kind of supposed to do according to the original designer of the motor. In order to get the motors properly balanced. It's a pretty tedious process where you have to weigh each magnet and kind of like look at its force and all that kind of stuff. They said they skipped all of that because like their drone was massive enough that the vibrations that they would get from the motors really weren't a big enough deal for them to go through all that process. They did, however, have to go through the horrible and tedious process of winding the motors, and they confirmed to me that that is indeed a terrible process to have to go through. And I, for one, don't look forward to going through it myself. When I try to make one of those motors. I really want to have one here at the makerspace just to display, and also if I go into schools or anything to show this stuff off, and for the after school programs that I do, just to show that like you can print like motor stuff and it can actually work more efficiently than other motors that you can buy because of this cool hallback array thing that they got going on. Need to discuss what I think was the coolest thing that I saw at Opensauce as far as all the kind of equipment stuff that was there. There was a 3D printing system that could materialize a nut and bolt in front of your eyes in 20 seconds. They designed it so that it could work in 0G, and they even tested it in the Vomit Comet, which is the planes that do the parabolic trajectories, and so they experience zero gravity for about 20 seconds, and that was their window to be able to print something. And they were able to get this to work, and not just work, but work really well. It was even capable of doing microscopic prints, which they had in a microscope there, and we took a look at a bunch of those as well. This entire system was designed so that it could work on something like the International Space Station so that they could print parts out there. And the way that it essentially worked, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around how exactly it works, but essentially there was this 360-degree projector system that would project images onto a cylinder of resin, and then it would get cured, and then you could remove the part out from that. They have a whole website where you can look at the information for the whole thing, and it's really cool. And that was definitely something that blew my mind more than anything else there. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. So yeah, just a huge thanks to William, obviously, and also Caretaker for taking care of William. And just everybody that was involved with this whole thing for just putting this opportunity together. Tammy Joe for being there on the Discord for us all, and everybody else that was involved there as well. And just everybody on the Discord that helped me find a good place in Marin County next door over there to stay for a few days, which was awesome. We really, really hope you guys will have us back for next year, because we could do so much cooler stuff and we'll have so much more to show. And maybe by then we'll actually be legit creators as a channel. But yeah, this was just a sweet ass opportunity, and just I'm still on a high from the whole thing because it was just so incredible to just see everybody there. The energy was just awesome. Like, it was just a good vibe there. People were solid, super friendly, and everybody had good ideas. People gave us good ideas on our projects as they came by and checked it all out. And this was just a huge recharge for me as a content creator and as a maker. And it just makes me feel so good and so happy after having done this. So yeah, thank you to everybody for the opportunity to do this, and let's do it again sometime, huh?